Ready?
Yes.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Thumma amma ba'd, to proceed. So this would be the next chapter here on Nafaka al-Mu'taddat, the maintenance of women observing Iddah. So do you remember the Iddah for women? Quickly to go over the Iddah for women, what is the first question that you have to ask? Huh? Was she pregnant or not? And pregnant? Yes. No. What if she's pregnant? Childbirth ends her iddah. No. What's the next question? Death. If the husband died? Yes. No. What is it if it is death? 4 months and 10 days. The husband did not die. What is the next question you want to ask?
No, menstruation.
Consummation. Was it consummated marriage or not? So, consummation. No, or yes. Remember last time I did this also. Yes. No. What is it if it is no? Huh? No iddah. There is no iddah. Yes. What question do you need to ask? Huh? Menstruating or not menstruating? Yes, menstruating. Not menstruating. What is it here? 3 periods. What is it here? 3 months. Guys are great. Okay. So that's the algorithm for the iddah. So he says, now we're talking about Nafaka al-Mu'taddat, or the maintenance of women observing iddah. Keep in mind that women, after divorce, will have rights other than the nafaka and the mut'ah. The mut'ah, we talked about mut'ah before, or didn't talk about mut'ah? Maybe we didn't talk about mut'ah. Are we talking about mut'ah here? Yes, we're talking about mut'ah here. So, in general, to get the mut'ah out of the way, where do we talk about the mut'ah?
Oh, it's in your
Introduction, okay. So let's just get the mut'ah out of the way. Because women will have many financial rights. So she has the right of al-Hadana, ujrat al-Hadana, compensation for the custodian of the children. If she has custody and she has children, she will be maintained because she's taking care of the children, given that she is not that she's dedicating herself for the children, or dedicating a part of her time for taking care of the children. And these things have to be done equitably. We will have to make sure that things are done equitably, because if she's going out and working, she's not really dedicated for the children, but still she is being limited. Maybe she's not able to work full-time, maybe she's not able to work farther away from her home, so that there will have to be adjustments there. That is why these things are left for the court to decide. So, but there is ujrat al-Hadana. The concept of ujrat al-Hadana is there in Islam, except in the Maliki madhab. They don't consider a wealthy woman deserving of a woman that is not in need. They don't consider that she taking care of her children. She should be paid to take care of her own children, because they consider her capable, and these are her own children, so she should take care of them. But the rest of the Jumhur will make it obligatory on the husband to give her ujrat al-hadina. That's compensation for custody. So, but if she does not have children, is she entitled, before we get into the Nafaka part, which is the maintenance, during the time of Iddah, is she entitled to some other financial rights? The Hanafis and Hanbalis said that the concept of mut'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِن طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ مِن قَبْلِ أَن تَمَسُّوهُنَّ أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة فمتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين. If you divorce them من قبل أن تمسوهن, before you consummate the marriage, before you touch them, before you consummate the marriage, أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة, or designate a dowry for them, فمتعوهن على الموسع قدره, then give them a gift of consolation. That's mati'uhunna, a gift of consolation, to console them. Give them a gift of consolation. على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره, for the capable according to their means, for the sort of insolvent according to their means. متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين, a provision that is binding, that is a right upon متاعا بالمعروف, a provision within reason, حقا على المحسنين, that is a right upon the good doers. Imam Malik took that good doers and said that the mut'ah is not obligatory at all on anyone, because it's حق على المحسنين, it's the good doers, it's a good thing, but it is not required. But aside from the position of Imam Malik, which is considered to be a weak position by the majority at least, aside from the position of Imam Malik, the Hanafis and Hanbalis, they took this ayah and implemented it, literally, that the mut'ah is only for women, not literally, but they went by the mafhum of this ayah, that the mut'ah is meant only for women who did not have a designated dowry and had their marriage dissolved before consummation, and were divorced before consummation. Because after consummation, if there was no designated dowry, what happens? He will have to pay a dowry, the dowry of her likes, her counterparts among women. But before consummation and before designating a dowry or agreeing on a dowry, if they were contracted and they dissolved the marriage at that point, then it will be a mut'ah. They said أعلاها أدناها كسوة وأعلاها خادم. So the lowest mut'ah would be a garment, and the highest mut'ah would be a servant. In our times, the difference is huge between them. Do you know what would a servant mean in our times? Like how much endowment or trust do you need to have to pay someone monthly, like $3,000 or $4,000 forever? That's a lot of money. So anyway, it's just like a huge spectrum here. But that's the concept of mut'ah anyway. Now, we said the Hanafis and the Hanbalis, they said that it would only be for those women. Who said it is for all women? All women. Including women who had a designated dowry and had a divorce before consummation. Had a designated dowry and had a divorce before consummation. what is prescribed for those women فنصف ما فرضتم إلا أن يعفون أو يعفو الذي بيده عقدة النكاح وأن تعفوا أقرب للتقوى ولا تنسوا الفضل بينكم. What is designated here by the Quran, if divorce happens after the contract, before consummation, and there was a designated dowry, is half the dowry, right? A report in the Hanbali Madhab that is supported by Ibn Taymiyyah and the position of the Zahiris, Ibn Hazm, said that all women, including this woman, will also have mut'ah. In addition to the one half. There will also be a mut'ah, because they used another verse, a few verses later from this verse, متاع بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين, in Surah al-Baqarah, وللمطلقات متاع بالمعروف حقا على المتقين. What does this say here? For divorcees. For divorcees. Does it say which type? No. Mata', which is a provision, consolation gift. Bil ma'ruf, within reason. Haqqan, a right. Ala, upon. Al muttaqeen. Muttaqeen, the pious, the God conscious. The God conscious. Okay. So they say that this applies to all divorcees. All of them will get that consolation gift regardless of the type of divorce. And that would be small a plus z plus t. A report in the Hanbali Madhab, this is the Zahiri position, and this is the choice of Imam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Now, when we were discussing this, when Amjad was discussing this issue, Amjad wanted to give women, to find sort of like an equitable, fair solution for the problem of a woman who lived with her husband for 30 years and gave up her career, and everything is in the husband's name. And at this point, should she take half of the husband's positions and walk away with that, because that's what the statutory laws will give her? Should she just walk away without anything? So Amjad tried to find a solution that is legitimate, that is Islamic, and at the same time fair. So we felt that the mut'ah is the solution. To make it sizable, to compensate the woman for whatever happened, and to leave it up to the arbitrators, because if you say that every woman is entitled to half of the positions of her husband, in the West, keep in mind, the patchwork that some people try to do does not really work, because in the West, this applies to both spouses. If she was the money maker, her husband would be entitled to half of the money, half of the family savings. Islam will never recognize that. Islam will never give the husband half of the family savings when the wife is the one who earned it. So now, would it be fair to do patchwork? Patchwork makes like monsters. Deformed value systems. The most deformed value systems are the patched up value systems, because when you do the patchwork, you're not paying attention to the inequity in this patchwork. So if we say that the wife will get half of the positions of the husband, but Islam will never recognize that the husband will get half of the positions of the wife, is it inequitable? Obviously inequitable. So how do we figure this out? And this is not the only thing. Beside all of the other obligations that Islam makes binding on the husband that are different from this. the many other obligations that are binding on the husband, including the ujrat al-hadina, the compensation for custody and all of these things. So we said that this mut'ah, make it sizable and make it commensurate with the duration of the marriage and the socioeconomic status of the two spouses, and consider the reason for divorce. If this was like a man who just decided to change wives because he felt like it, or if the divorce was predominantly caused by the wife, would it make a difference? Should make a difference. They were married for 2 years. They were married for 40 years. Would it make a difference? Should make a difference. She gave up her career. Would it make a difference? Should make a difference. There are many things to be considered, and the Amja family code spells these things out, and it is just Google Amja family code, and you will find the entire family code, all family laws. This work took a lot of effort and a lot of sort of scrutiny by a lot of the senior scholars. So make use of it, avail yourself of this Amja family code. So that is the concept of mut'ah, and we feel that, to not basically cause trial to Muslim women where they have to choose between walking away empty-handed or going to court for half of the positions of the husband. We have arbitration panels. These would be scholars. These would be like sort of reasonable people, reasonable scholars that understand not only our tradition, but also the circumstances and conditions and the immense changes that took place in the world in our times, and make sure that they find an equitable solution for this family or for these women. Now there are several rights that women do actually enjoy in Islam upon divorce, not only limited to the Nafaka of Iddah or the Nafaka during the waiting period. But when it comes to the Nafaka during the waiting period, let us go over what women are entitled to and which women are entitled to maintenance and accommodation, or one of them, during the waiting period. The Sheikh said, وهن ثلاثة أقسام أحدها الرجعية وهي من يمكن لزوجها أو من يمكن زوجها إمساكها أو يمكن زوجها إمساكها. Whatever all would be correct. فلها النفقة والسكنة. They are 3 categories. First, the woman whose divorce is unfinalized, so her husband can take her back. She is entitled to maintenance and accommodation. She is entitled to maintenance and accommodation. Here, which one should we start by? Okay, let's do another algorithm here for the maintenance of women during Iddah. Let's do another algorithm. Which one should we start by? Well, the first thing that we should start by is Raja'iyya. It will be complicated here, but anyway, we'll have like some algorithm here. Okay, so Raja'iyya, which is unfinalized, we just want to say that the raj'iyya, which is unfinalized woman, will get everything. She is being treated like a wife. All maintenance, all accommodation, nothing changed for the raj'iyya. She is being treated like a wife. Nothing changes for the raj'iyya, the woman that can be taken back. So that is after the first or second divorce without compensation. So it's not court enforced and not a divorce for compensation. And it is the first or the second. And it is not fasq, it's a divorce. It's first or second. It's not for compensation. And it is not court enforced. So this is the raj'iyya woman, and she will have the Nafaka and the Sukna. Then the Sheikh said, وإن أسلم زوج الكافر أو ارتدت امرأة المسلم فلا نفقة لهما ولو أسلمت امرأة الكافر أو ارتد زوج المسلم بعد الدخول فلها نفقة العدة. If the husband of an unbeliever becomes Muslim or the wife of a Muslim apostatizes, the wife is not entitled to maintenance. If the wife of an unbeliever becomes Muslim or the husband of a Muslim apostatizes after consummation, the wife is entitled to maintenance. Basically, Islam is not impartial to people's religion. It is only expected that Islam is not impartial to apostasy and to basically renouncing Islam. So here, the party that left Islam the fault will be always, on the party that left Islam. So the reason for separation between them if I guess it's self-explanatory here. Certainly for us as minorities in non-Muslim countries, you will have to abide by the system, the statutory laws. So these things are not enforceable outside of the jurisdiction of Muslim lands. These things would be enforceable within the jurisdiction, Muslim jurisdiction. What about the concern of reciprocity and the concern of sort of the civil state that basically stays at the same distance from people of different religions? These are contemporary issues that should be addressed by the most senior scholars and the fiqh bodies, majami' al-fiqhiyya, fiqh assemblies and fiqh bodies. And people, smaller people like us should not be babbling about this stuff too much, whether on social media or in our discussions. These things are way over your heads. So just give yourself a break. No one is waiting for your opinion, really, at all. And it's not going to make a difference to the world at all. And nobody is waiting for it. You could just say whatever you want. You may get 100 likes or 200,000 likes on Facebook. Nothing will change. You will just be elated for a couple of days because of the number of likes on Facebook or the number of shares, and at the end of the day, you're not going to make any difference. Nothing will change. And these things are over your head, and you will likely end up mawzur, likely end up sinful, because you got into a discussion that does not belong to you, to your size, to your capacity, to your level of education, to your level of importance, because you're not really sort of on the board of Majma' al-Fiqh al-Islami tabi' al-Munazzama, or somebody that is really of any such importance. So leave these things for the senior scholars, al-Rasikhun fil ilm, the scholars who are well-grounded in knowledge. Contemporary issues, when it comes to laws, when it comes to international relationships, when it comes to these things, leave them for the scholars well-grounded in knowledge. Try to spare yourself the grief in this life and the hereafter. And try to spare yourself the sort of don't make yourself look like a fool. Because if you are talking about things that you have no credentials to address, no capacity to address, everybody that has a little bit of sense will perceive you as a fool. So just spare yourself of the grief and of the bad image in people's minds. For us here, what we know is that Islamic law is not enforceable outside of Muslim jurisdiction. Islamic law is not enforceable. Certainly there are the laws that are personal laws, certainly enforceable. You'll have to live by Islam wherever you are when it comes to your own relationship with God, your own sort of rituals, and so on. We Muslims, among ourselves, should try to also live by Islamic law and Islamic teachings. Members of the same family, parent and child, two spouses that are Muslim, they should enforce this upon themselves. But when it comes to Muslims and non-Muslims, outside of Muslim jurisdiction, no, it's not enforceable. It is not enforceable. So the Sheikh says here, if the husband of an unbeliever becomes a Muslim or the wife of a Muslim apostatizes, the wife is not entitled to maintenance. Why? Because it is her fault. In the first case, it is her fault that she did not become Muslim after her husband became Muslim. In the second case, because she apostatized, then there is no nafaka. She doesn't get maintenance. ولو أسلمت امرأة الكافر أو ارتد زوج المسلم بعد الدخول فلها نفقة العدة. If the wife of an unbeliever becomes Muslim or the husband of a Muslim apostatizes after consummation, the wife is entitled to maintenance. Why? Because it is his fault, not her fault. In the first case, because he did not become Muslim like his wife. And in the second case, because he apostatized. So in both cases, they count this as his fault. And as we said, not enforceable outside of Muslim jurisdiction. And as we said, these things were also controversial among the different mazahib. And in our times, these things will be decided by the most senior scholars, most grounded in knowledge, to basically take in to factor in all the considerations that need to be factored in. And these things are not waiting for us to opine on, because our opinions will not matter at all. Then the Sheikh said, الثاني. Okay, so the first qism, or the first type of divorcee is the raj'iyya that can be taken back. The second here, البائن في الحياة بطلاق أو بفسخ فلا سكن لها بحال ولها النفقة إن كانت حاملا وإلا فلا. Second, the one whose separation during the life of a husband is finalized, such as through divorce or annulment, is never entitled to accommodation. She is entitled to maintenance only if she is pregnant. She is entitled to maintenance only if she is pregnant. Now, if she is not raj'iyya, is she ba'in, meaning that we're talking here not ba'in because her period ended, because when her period ends, she's not entitled to maintenance anyway, because her period ended. We're talking about the maintenance during the period. Can you be ba'an before your period ends? Finalized before the period ends? Yes. When? After the third divorce. When? When the divorce is for compensation. When? When it is a court-enforced divorce. When? You know, if it is not a divorce, but it is fasq, but that's a different story that we're not talking about here. So now that she is ba'in في الحياة بطلاق أو بفسخ فلا سكن لها بحال ولها النفقة إن كانت حاملا وإلا فلا. So it is finalized, but we are still during the period because it was, let's say, the third divorce or something. Now do we have to ask another question? Yes, pregnant. If she was finalized, but she is pregnant, yes, no. If she's pregnant, what does she get? Nafaka? Or sukna? Or both? Huh? She gets both. She gets both. Nafaka and sukna. In this case, how do you live with the person in the same home when you have finalized divorce? The person is foreign to you. You make a section in the home. You know, if the home can be sectioned off, that's what the Malikis and Shafi'is and Hanbalis said. You section off part of the home that is separated and give it to the wife. And they also say that it would be recommended, if that is not doable, for the husband to still keep the wife in the home and figure out what to do with himself. So now that she is pregnant, yes, she will have both nafaka and sukna. What if she is not pregnant? Okay. If she is not pregnant, the Hanbalis will say none. No nafaka, no sukna. The Hanafis will say yes, she gets both. The Malikis and Shafi'is will say, Malikis and Shafi'is will say nafaka, no. Sukna, yes. Why is all of this happening? Why is it so controversial? In Surah Al-Baqarah, what does Allah say? أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن. Yes, didn't I say that? Oh, Surah Al-Talaq, of course. أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بالمعروف وإن تعصرتم فسترضع له أخرى. So أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن. أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل انفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فأتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بالمعروف وإن تعصرتم فسترضع له أخرى. Okay, so أسكنوهن, provide accommodation for them. accommodation. من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم, from where you live. So provide accommodation from a section of where you live. من حيث سكنتم, from where you live. Within your means. ولا تضيقوا عليهن, do not cause hardship to them. ولا تضرهن لتضيقوا عليهن, do not cause hardship to them, to oppress them. وإن كن أولات حمل, if they were pregnant, فأنفقوا عليهن, support them, حتى يضعن حملهن, until childbirth, okay? Until childbirth. So then why are the Hanbalis not providing okay, so let's start with the Hanafis. The Hanafis are, let's start with the Hanbalis, because we're Hanbalis, right? So the Hanbalis said Fatima bint Qais came to the Prophet ﷺ. Fatima bint Qais was divorced 3 times and she became ba'in. Her husband was sending to her barley. She didn't like it. He said to her, I don't even owe you that. You know, I'm just doing it like as a courtesy. I don't even owe you that. So she went to the Prophet ﷺ, and since she was ba'in, finalized, the Prophet ﷺ قضى ألا نفقة لها ولا سكنة. The Prophet decreed that she does not get maintenance or accommodation. No maintenance, no accommodation. Fatima bint Qais was actually the one who was championing this position. And Umar ibn al-Khattab sort of ignored her, dismissed her, even though she was the one to tell everyone, the Prophet did not give me Nafaka or Sukna because I was ba'in. So Umar ibn Khattab said, we will not ignore the book of our Lord, لا ندع كتاب ربنا وسنة نبينا لقول امرأة أخطأت أو أصابت. We will not ignore the book of our Lord and the sunnah of our messenger, like the ongoing sort of tradition of our messenger for the statement of a woman. We don't know if she's right or wrong, أخطأت or أصابت. We don't know if she's right or wrong. It's a little bit of a big discussion because this is a Sahabiya reporting directly from the Prophet ﷺ. It has ramifications in usul and it is like a big issue, but anyway. But what Omar was trying to say is, I have evidence to disregard her sort of position or her testimony or her riwayah, her narration. I have evidence to disregard it. Now, the Hanbalis took Fatima bint Qais's narration and they went by it and they said that this is specific for women who are finalized, ba'in. And the report is authentic and everything. The Hanafis took the position of Umar radiallahu anhu and they dismissed the narration from Fatima bint Qais. And they said that in this ayah here, it is clear that they will get accommodation and they will get nafaka. Allah says here, if they were pregnant, then support them. You know that the Hanafis don't have mafhum al-mukhalafa, divergent implication. So divergent implication meant to the Malikis and Shafi'is, if they were not pregnant, you don't have to spend on them. divergent implication is not taken by the Hanafis in the scriptural language. Yes, in people's speech they will accept it, but not in the scriptural speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they say it must be clear and so on and so forth. So that is where, so now the Malikis and Shafi'is, they said in the beginning here, askinuhunna, we will go by this. Provide accommodation, there is no takhsis here. So the ba'in will still get accommodation. But here, because of the divergent implication, if she is not pregnant, she will not get maintenance. So the Malikis and Shafi'is, everybody is saying that Raj'iyya will get everything like a wife. But the ba'in, the Hanafis are saying will get everything, Nafaka and Sukna. And the Hanbalis are saying she does not get anything. And the Malikis and Shafi'is said she will get the Sukna, but not the Nafaka, because this was limited to the pregnant. If she is pregnant, all of them said she gets what? Like a wife. Like a Raj'iyya. The pregnant will get the Sukna and the Nafaka.
Just have this ambiguity about that. There was the Mu'allif, he said, فلا سكن لها بحال ولها النفقة إن كانت حامل. But he says لا سكن لها بحال. So is that a minority opinion in madhab that she doesn't get sukna but she gets nafaqah if she's pregnant?
No, no, it is not. You know, the position in the madhab is that she does get the sukna and the nafaqah. This is I understand the ambiguity in the statement of Ibn Qudamah, but yes, his statement is ambiguous. It infers that she may not get the sukna, but she will always get the sukna and the nafaqah. That's the agreement of the four madhahib, that she gets the sukna and the nafaqah. Yeah. Yeah. So the third, yes.
I was looking at the verse, and so that the talaq, it didn't really indicate a finalized divorce. So how are they aligning this ayah with the finalized divorce?
What did it say that she
Because the ayah is about al-mutallaqat, that all the discussion before was about al-mutallaqat. So they are applying the ayah to all the mutallaqat. That's what the Hanafis are doing. They're saying this whole discussion in Surah Al-Talaq prior was about talaq. We're applying this ayah to all the mutallaqat. The burden is on you to exclude from this ayah whomever you want to exclude. So the Malikis and Shafi'is said the end of the ayah, وَإِن كُنَّ أُولَاتِ حَمْلٍ فَأَنفِقُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ حَتَّى يَضَعْنَ حَمْلَهُنَّ, by divergent implication, it is saying that if they are not pregnant, you don't need to maintain them. But askinuhunna came in the beginning, so we will apply this to the finalized divorce as well, because it did not say if they are pregnant. Askinuhunna, provide accommodation. It did not say if they are pregnant. So that's what the Malikis and Shafi'is did. The Hanbalis are finding proof outside of the ayah completely from the Sunnah, established Sunnah. You know, reported in Sahih. Everybody knows this is established, even the Hanafis. They're not denying that Fatima bint Qais said the Prophet ﷺ said this to me. They're just contending the value of Fatima bint Qais's sort of narration, even though they are agreeing and they're going out with sort of Umar radiallahu anhu's statement, we're not going to leave, etc. So yeah, then the third one, الثالث التي توفي زوجها عنها فلا نفقة لها ولا سكنة. Third, the woman whose husband has died is not entitled to maintenance or accommodation. The woman whose husband has died is not entitled to maintenance or accommodation. So now المتوفى عنها زوجها, husband died. Yeah, I'm sorry. توفى عنها زوجها. If there's death, then what about Nafaka and Sukna? What did they say about Nafaka and Sukna? The Hanafis and the Hanbalis said what? She doesn't get Nafaka or Sukna. Okay, so the Malikis and Shafi'is said that she will be entitled. There is another position in the Hanbali madhab that if she's pregnant, she will get the Sukna, but you know, that's not the main position. So let's say the Hanafis and Hanbalis versus the Malikis and Shafi'is. Hanafis and Hanbalis, she doesn't get anything. Malikis and Shafi'is, she will not be kicked out of her home because she is required to spend her iddah in her home. Now, but the Hanafis and Hanbalis are saying what? The Hanafis and Hanbalis are saying, well, if this, we will basically, if this home was an owned home, then the heirs are advised to let her spend her iddah in that home, or if the husband had paid the rent in advance, to let her spend the iddah in her home. But the Hanafis and Hanbalis are saying what? Are saying that how do you make this obligatory on the heirs? What type of contractual relationship exists here between the heirs and this woman to make it binding on them to spend on her? Where is the contractual relationship? Where? You know, if these heirs are, you know, like whatever it is, they could be like too far away from the husband. It could be the brother of the husband. It could be, how do we force this man to spend on this woman or to let her live in the home, part of the home that he inherited? They're saying she gets 1/8, and upon the division of the estate, everybody is entitled to their share of the inheritance or the estate, and we cannot impose on one party to accommodate another party. Her husband was responsible for her because of the marriage contract. These people are not responsible. But they were flexible. I told you the Hanbalis said that they did not demand of her to afford the accommodation or the home that they lived in. They only demanded for her if it was available to stay in it. If it is not available, they didn't even ask her. The Hanbalis clearly on the authorized view did not even ask her to pay the rent out of her own pocket, even if she has the money, capable, well off, sort of wealthy. She's not required to keep the house. She's only required to stay in it if it is available for her at no extra cost to her. Is that clear? So not bad. That's good. But anyway, so the Malikis and Shafi'is said that she will be entitled to staying, and the Hanafis and Hanbalis said she's not entitled, but like I said, they didn't force it on her. So she can go wherever she wants. Now, I'm not going to be able, I was very hopeful in the beginning, told you that I'll finish 4 chapters. We finished 2 out of 4. So next time, inshallah, we will talk about the book of Dhihar and the book of Li'an. And Dhihar is when you say to your wife, you should never do that, but is when one says to his wife, you are to me like the back of my mother. And Li'an is the mutual invocation of curses when a man accuses his wife of adultery. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.